I'm going to talk about our game herds, the various varieties of game that we hunt in this country. Deer, of course, being one of the most important of all of our animals. Deer, both varieties of deer, both our whitetail and our mule deer. Our elk, our bighorn sheep, and our moose. Now, I have experienced in the first 2/3 of my hunting life the greatest hunting here in Wyoming or anywhere here in North America to do with those 4 varieties of game. We had very good game numbers. And the reason that we had good game numbers is because many years ago, the Wyoming Game and Fish Department was formed. We had people that were interested in our wildlife and were doing the right things, and they were using our dollars from our license purchases properly. Over time, some of these things have changed. And we have a tremendous push in this country to do away with hunting. It's really a sad situation. For a number of years we heard talk that Wyoming wanted to introduce wolves, that we needed wolves. And then in 1994, an individual with the Wyoming Game and Fish Department by the name of Mark Brasino stated in a Wyoming Wildlife magazine that the missing link to our ecosystem was the wolf. Well, in 1995, we had the world's worst invasive species, the Canadian gray wolf, brought into this country illegally with money that was absconded, stole from our Pittman Robertson's funds. And these wolves were supposed to be quarantined and held and inoculated for various diseases, which they never were. They were turned loose. They were turned loose for Bill and Chelsea Clinton to see turn loose because they were going to be in the area. And this is where things changed. Within just 6 or 8 years, the greatest number of our moose in the entirety of Wyoming were killed and eaten by Canadian gray wolves. Many areas here in Wyoming were closed to hunting after a while. They closed entirely to hunting of moose. I live in a valley here where from a very young age, from the time I was 5 years old, clear up to this point in my life, there's a valley here. The valley's still here, but it held, this is a creek drainage that's about 13-14 miles long. This drainage held in the neighborhood of 40 some odd moose. There might be an occasional moose there at this point in time. There might be an occasional moose track. There was an area there that had a great huge meadows, a quick creek wandering through it. And that was a favorite place for moose to feed. And I've seen as high as 39 moose of an evening in that meadow. I've seen 24 there, I've seen a dozen there, and other numbers at other points in time, different years. They were wiped out. adjacent to there, we go into, even further back. This is in the wilderness I'm talking about. And even further back, many more miles into the wilderness, a favorite place there that moose lived in and around the lake, the general area. That was a great place for moose. And they moved back and forth from this creek that I'm talking about to this lake. But anyway, this is all a thing of the past. Now, we used to have 5 areas here in this part of Wyoming, 5 different individual moose areas. There are not 5 individual moose areas now, there's 1 moose area. And when they changed everything and damn near all the moose are killed, now there's 5 permits available in an area that encompasses those once 5 areas, which there were about 70 moose permits available in those 5 total areas.
Where is that?
Anyway, this is where it started. And we came from there to the elk situation. The elk have been brought down considerably from what they once were, all over in this part of the country. 20 some odd thousand elk in this northern herd here, this part of Wyoming. It's way, way down. It's just a fraction of that. And this continues to go on. Our deer that are in severe decline at this point in time, and we still have permits available to hunt elk. We have permits available to hunt deer. At one point we had a tremendous amount of elk permits available to hunt elk. We have just a fraction of that anymore. And things have changed from a general elk season to a limited quota season in much of all the areas. And the deer, the same sort of situation. We continue to have a general permit area here, but you can buy a permit and you can go hunting. But what I'm getting at here is you have a very, very slim chance of ever killing a deer that's worth killing. And in this aspects of things, it's got so bad that it's so scarce that we've got a whole crowd of people killing deer, and they're the Bambi hunters. They're going to kill the little spikes and the little 2-points just to have a deer. And they do it every year, year after year after year. Now, if we're going to kill off all these little deer, we don't have the proper type of breeding stock that we need, the age quality in the deer, to be able to produce. And over the years, we've had areas that are open, to a huge number of doe permits, killing off all our breeding stock. And this goes on and on. Well, at this point in time, we have a thing going on here in Wyoming. It just didn't just start now. It's been a number of years ago. The game department thinks that the loss of this wildlife is because of loss of habitat. We have got the same demographic properties that we had 50, 60, 70 years ago here. Yes, there's a few homes built someplace, but it doesn't bother the deer. The deer are become very accustomed to homes. They come in the wintertime and spend the late fall and the winter, late winter and early spring in and around homes because they figured out they're protected from predators. And there's your key problem. The key problem is predators. We have a tremendous amount of predation. Our grizzly population has doubled in the past 25 years. We have somewhere around 1,100 to 1,200 grizzlies here in Wyoming alone, plus, Idaho and Montana and a few odd animals someplace else. Well, the grizzly bear hunts with his nose to the ground, and he's going to smell out that fresh-born calf or fresh-born doe deer or fresh-born lamb or a calf moose, whatever it might happen to be, and he's going to lick it up. It's been stated by Yellowstone Park biologists that 98% of the elk calves that hit the ground are consumed by the grizzly in 48 hours. Now let's throw the wolf in there. This country was wiped out many, many years ago of the wolf. Yeah, there was an odd, very odd wolf here or there somewhere. But this really, really, really changed the picture. This is what wiped out these moose herds, in conjunction with other predators. We've got the mountain lion, we've got the black bear, we've got the wolf, we've got the coyote. You see? And these non-native Canadian gray wolves, according to Game and Fish law, they won't accept any invasive species. Well, they accepted with open arms the Canadian gray wolf. At the time, we had a governor by the name of Mike Sullivan. He endorsed the introduction of these damn wolves to be brought in here illegally. Oh, brother. And then we've got a Game and Fish employee who we pay his wages, by the way, and we'd actually paid the governor's wages too, to dictate this crap. And these idiots, these couple of idiots have been appointed to the Wyoming Outdoor Hall of Fame. They're members of the Wyoming Outdoor Hall of Fame for destruction of our wildlife. Now, our forefathers figured it all out. Right here is a book, and the book is called The Reasons for the Decline of Game in the Bighorn Basin of Wyoming. It's written by no other than Calvin King. He was a game and fish biologist many years ago, and the wolves were pretty much eradicated. Many, many coyotes were eradicated, and this is how this wonderful resource was built. A game department that wants to endorse the destruction of that pays their very wages. These people are absolutely wrong. These wolves should have never been brought here. The excuse now, and it's been going on for a while, but it's getting into high gear, is because loss of habitat. We have the same habitat here in this part of Wyoming and all stretches of Wyoming that we had eons ago. Our lifetimes and several lifetimes ago. Yeah, they think that because a house is built somewhere, or a house is built somewhere else or whatever, that this is having the effect. That's not the effect. And I'll point out something. We have deer that winter right around the home here. And my shooting bench is about 8 feet from the house. And I sit there many days through the fall and the winter and the spring when these animals are in here wintering, and they've been in here feeding around, and by early mid-morning they're laying down and they're chewing their cud, and I'm here shooting. And these deer never get up out of their bed. They're laying down. Now, if I'm the problem, why in the hell aren't they getting out and getting out of here? Because I'm not the problem, folks. The real problem here is these folks that have an agenda. They can't stand it that you're hunting, but they sure love your hunting dollars. Why do you suppose that we had a director of the Game and Fish say that, but we still have hunting? Well, there's a hell of a difference between still having hunting and having game to hunt. This is all wrong. This is an attack on our Second Amendment rights. And the other thing is every so often through the year, there are meetings put on by the Game and Fish in different areas here in Wyoming, and the public, everybody can attend. But you cannot talk. You cannot voice your First Amendment rights. You cannot talk. You're there to listen to what they have to say, and the hell with you. Now you can write down your comments and put it in the box, and then they can read it and they can throw it into file 13 because they've already made up their damn mind what they're going to do. Now, is this game management? Hell no, it's not game management. Many years ago, there was something put in place called the North American Model of Wildlife Conservation. Well, that was put in place by people who knew, people who understood. And this man that wrote this book that I've had for about 60 years, he understood. He understood the situation. But in this length of time, these game and fish people that are in positions of so-called wildlife management, which is, my term is dumb school, because that's exactly what it is. You've got to be very damn dumb to do what they've done. And you've got to be really dumb to treat your employer the way that they want to treat their employer, which is myself and you, buying a license. This is uncalled for. This is simply wrong. And the other aspect is, you don't have any recourse. The game and fish can do is what they damn well please. They're protected by sovereign immunity. They can do almost anything that they want to do, and they get away with it. And they've been getting away with it for years and years. What I'm pointing out here, we're in a disaster mode to do with deer. We're in a disaster mode. And the reason is that they have abandoned the North American model of wildlife conservation in favor of their so-called pseudoscience bullshit. It's exactly what it is. And they've thrown out predation. Several years ago, year before last, we had a terrible winter here in southern part of Wyoming. And it killed off a lot of animals, a lot of deer, a lot of antelope, elk. And the game department director was questioned to do with the coming year and further years license availabilities and one thing and another. And the people thought that we need to close some of these areas to hunting. And they were questioned to do with coyote predation and other predation. And this fool, the guy's name is Brian Nesvik, which is retired from the game department, said that they don't factor in predation. You don't factor in predation, and you're claiming to be using the North American model of wildlife conservation? You're liars. You're lying to us. We don't need to be lied. There are a lot of us out here that are pretty darn intelligent. And this has been my 60th year of hunting big game. Lousy, 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 lousy season. And I've seen this come. I've seen this come. I see what's going on. I see the direction. And the direction is not changing. It's going down, 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 down. And it's going to be to the point where there's going to be nothing brought on by these people that are all puffed up with their title, wildlife biologist or whatever. This is absolutely ridiculous. The Game and Fish has an agenda here in Wyoming to kill off all white-tailed deer in Wyoming. The white-tailed deer gradually migrated in here, and by the way, were brought in by the game department to begin with into different parts of Wyoming, and they want them all killed. Every whitetail killed. This I could talk for hours about this. This is not acceptable. And by the way, I'm talking about this because you've got a similar situation in the state that you live in, that you hunt in, that is comparably about the same situation as what we've got right here. All sorts of these situations. This is all coming out of these liberal think tanks that are indoctrinating these people. And they don't hire people, in their 40s and something like that into the game department to be a game warden. They want these young upstarts right fresh out of high school to go to their liberal think tanks and indoctrinate them and dictate to them how they're supposed to think. And there's no other direction. Common sense does not apply in their lives. It's not part of their life. Black's black and white's white, but not with the game department. It's whatever they want to make it, however they want to make it. We have, in different parts of the country, it's here, we have various different diseases, blue tongue. We have some chronic wasting disease in various areas, it's quite low here in the valley that I live in. But they've got the notion that we need to kill more buck deer because they think that buck deer carry this disease. Well, how damn many buck deer do we have to kill off to satisfy that situation? You see, every angle that there is about taking away hunting. We've got a crowd of people that year after year to do with the wolf. They didn't want them delisted here in Wyoming. They were listed as endangered when they were brought here. They weren't endangered where they came from. So how in the hell were they endangered when they came here? Just by title. Just by title and just by choice. Not endangered whatsoever. The endangerment is the wildlife that they consume. That's what's endangered, and hunting is endangered. We've got groups of people that think that we shouldn't eat any kind of meat whatsoever. They don't want us to raise cattle, they don't want us to raise sheep, they don't want us to hunt. All this is all part of the picture, you see. And this just keeps going on. Been trying to delist this grizzly bear that was supposed to be delisted when our population hit around 300. It was listed in 1975 as endangered. It was brought on by the federal government to begin with, killing an awful lot of grizzlies in Yellowstone Park, and blamed on other aspects, which was a lie. We still don't have any hunting season for grizzlies. We probably will never have a hunting season for grizzlies. We're way over objective. It was supposed to be delisted and put on the hunting agenda when the population hit 300. It was 140 or something like that, as near as they thought at the time. Well, it's way, way past that. But we got these leaf-licking folks that they just absolutely worship these animals. I love the country that I hunt in. I love these animals. I get to see these animals, a few of them, every day of the year. It's been part of my life from the time I was a little tot. And I'm going to always talk about it. I'm not going to stop talking about it and pointing out what's happening and who's doing it and who's taking away your God-given rights. God gave us teeth to chew meat. People don't want us to chew anything but leaves and things like that. That's why I call them the leaf lickers. They don't want us to eat any meat. It's none of their damn business. These are powered by, they're using all sorts of angles to come up with, being able to find a liberal judge to stop the listing of the grizzly bear, and on and on and on and on. and it just keeps going on and on. If you're a hunter, if you enjoy it, you better pay attention. Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. And thank you for listening to my videos and your support.